Peace. Welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about some of the big takeaways from yesterday's GOP debate. What did you get from it? What were some of the things that you thought about from it? We'll have that conversation. Also, we're going to be checking in with the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina, to talk to us about the work that he's doing down there and how he sees this political landscape shaping up. We'll have a conversation a little bit about that. Later on, folks, let's talk a little bit about veterans standing up for ceasefire in Gaza. Yes, we've been streaming this press conference that Congresswoman Cori Bush had with a number of veterans. And folks, let me just tell you, it is insightful and eye-opening to hear what our veterans have to say about where we are with this Israel-Hamas conflict. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. We got a lot to talk about. So let me just let you know that you can watch us all right now as we are streaming live on our home network of blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you do your due diligence, download the app, follow us on social media. And of course, we would love to get your financial support for the work that we're doing, empowering this digital movement. So go to blackstarnetwork.com and make sure that you show your support. And we truly thank you for your donation and for your appreciation of the work that we do. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon TV, on Amazon News, on your Fire TV, as well as Amazon Prime Video. You can find us there. We're also on Freevee as well as Plex TV 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about some of the big issues, as there has been some big takeaways from yesterday's GOP debate. We talked about it yesterday with my sister Suzette Speaks, but I want to get your take if you want to share your thoughts, and you can be a part of the conversation as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page, folks. And you can join us in the chat and be a part of our illustrious online culture crew. And yesterday, we saw some back and forth, but the winner seems to be former UN ambassador and former governor of the state of South Carolina, and what some people would say is a Nikki Haley win more than anything else. She had the one-liner of the night where she called businessman Vivek Ramaswamy scum because he had brought up her daughter into the conversation, and of course that got everybody going. But it was something else to see these candidates try to distance themselves from the presumptive frontrunner of this whole of the GOP, which is of course former President Donald Trump. And it was a way for them to show that they can stand on their own with the situation. So I want to kind of get your take on this, folks, as we want to hear from you directly as to what you saw. Some of you had expressed yesterday that this is another clown show in some cases, but did you feel it that way? Did you feel like the answers, they gave good answers? Do you feel like that some showed out better than others? We would love to hear what you got to say. Join us in the conversation right now. And I see all of y'all just joining us in the chat right now. Big shout out to the online culture crew. We got the AVX girl. I see you. Yay, let's go. Pastor Damon Blissett, thank you so much, brother. Good to see you once again. Pauline Hurt, thank you for connecting. Good to connect with you. Deidre Hall, thank you. Conscious Thought, love to see you. Thank you, brother, for checking in once again. Cindy D. Hello, Cindy. Good afternoon. There we go. You don't like my music? There we go. There we go. Karen Connor, good afternoon to you. And she said, good afternoon for Roger and Culture family. She was on vacation in Greece and Turkey. It's nice to be back with you, Will. Karen, thank you so much for coming back. It's good to see you once again. Brian Christian, thank you so much for checking in. It's always a pleasure. We got some new voices in the chat. BB Baby, Thank you, Snow, so much for joining us. We truly appreciate it. NJ Osborne, thank you. Yep, thank you, brother, for watching. We appreciate you. Got my sister Corinna Denise in here, as always. Hey, Corinna. Lori Parks, it's good to see that. Lori, you say you didn't even want to waste your time watching the debate with vomiting emojis. Wow. You didn't even want to waste your time. Um, Karen, you said, fortunately, the debate wasn't played in flight with laughing emojis. I hear that. Deidre, you said, I didn't even watch the clown show last night. I wasn't interested. There we go. There we go. BB baby, you said you just kind of you basically pointed out that line. Do you want a candidate from a new generation, or do you want Dick Cheney and 3-inch heels? Ooh, Lord have mercy. That's what you said, BB baby. Yes, Lord have mercy. Corinna, you bringing it out. These debates are auditions for a possible VP or cabinet position in Trump's administration. Cheeto head, that's what, if y'all don't know, that's Corinna's when she talk about former President Donald Trump. She calls him Cheeto head, knows he doesn't have to debate because his base is solid, strong, and racist enough to hold him down. Wow. Wow. So it wasn't really, it wasn't, I want to know, was it a game changing last day? Did it change your view about the candidates, about where they stand on the issues? What was your take on that? Let me just share this with y'all really quickly. I didn't think that it was a game changer. Let me just say that. I don't think that it was a game changer. I think that, matter of fact, it looked like it was more of the same. And I know that policy and everything, but I'm still not convinced, folks. I'm sorry. I am still not convinced that any of these candidates really know how to approach. And this is even can apply to former President Donald Trump. It's just, I just don't feel, it doesn't feel presidential. It seems like it's a high school debate. It just doesn't feel like, you feel confident in making sure that your life is going to be protected, your interests are going to be addressed with these groups. What happened to Senator Tim Scott? What happened with him? That's the other thing. What happened with Tim Scott, man? I really thought. Now we know Ron DeSantis took some jabs. That he tried to definitely distance himself. But I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Tim Scott, because I think he might be dropped. He might be the next one to drop out of this situation. He might be the next one to drop out. Mike V, my brother, thank you for checking in. You said peace Farajii. Senator Manchin's not running for re-election today. Puts Dems in a tight spot in the Senate in the next cycle. Yep, he just made that announcement earlier before we started the show. So we were definitely going to make that. So I appreciate you for bringing that into the conversation, Mike V. That hold that the Democrats had in the Senate is going to be one less vote. So it's going to be more than interesting to see how this play out. Corinna, you said thank you for sharing your comment. Absolutely. But I'm interested in hearing from you, Corinna, and from all of you, what you think this thing will do for Senator Manchin. If it's going to change the game, is that a game changer? Is that much more of a game changer than what we saw in that debate last night? ABX girl, you said when they spoke about Tim Scott's actor appeared on stage with him in the end, it was bad. Right. Absolutely. Big brother Willie Frazier, good afternoon. Thank you for connecting with us, big bro. Good to hear from you. NJ Osborne, you said where was the Orange Monster? Stuck in jail, I think. No, he wasn't in there. I think he had a rally, actually planned in Miami last night as well. I think that's what I read. If anybody can double check for me. But I think he actually did have a rally planned for during the debate, which goes to show you how much he really thinks about this process of debating and laying out his ideas. Y'all remember I said this. What does Donald Trump actually stand for? And I'm talking about this next go round. What is his policy agenda? What are some of the big things he wants to focus on if he gets back into the White House? That's the thing, right? And They tried to say a couple of things yesterday DeSantis had brought it up the fact that, he has to at least explain himself to account for all of these things that are happening. He has to explain himself. But mm, what does he actually stand for? You see what I'm saying? The craziness. This is how bad the situation has gotten. And I know we got to take our first pause. It's gotten so bad that his madness actually it takes precedent over the conversation about policy. And I think a couple of you said this yesterday that there's so little talk about the constituents. There's so little talk about what you plan to do for the American people that it's all of this other stuff that gets in the way. And it's really, really sad. It's really sad. And that's why I say, you know what? It just it doesn't feel like any of these individuals are at that place or ready to take on the very, very significant and serious task of being president of the United States of America, especially at this time when you're talking about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, talking about Israel, Hamas, you're talking about inflation, you're talking about all of these things that the American people, we are forced to confront each and every day of our lives in this country. And it just seems like these folks just going back and forth, and it feels like an alternative reality. Sean Brown, you said he chose not to attend because he said he is high in the polls. He decided to do his own rally somewhere close by. Exactly. Exactly, Sean. Thank you so much. Corinna, you said we must increase the Democrat Senate majority to 60 senators. That way it lessens the filibuster standing in our way. This will also unveil the others hiding behind Manchinima. Let me just put that out there. Go ahead, Corinna. Always coming up with some new idea, some new terminology. But you're absolutely right. The fact that Joe Manchin has decided not to run is going to put the Democrats in a precarious position. And now you're going to need those 60 senators. It's going to change the game. You don't like my music. Good to connect it with you once again, man. You said Trump either has no idea what that would actually look like or he's a complete psychopath. And I'm assuming you're talking about the policy agenda. What is his policy agenda? Where does he stand on all of these things, right? Like, where does he stand on the current state of Israel, Hamas? Where does he stand with Russia and Ukraine? We kind of have a glimpse. We kind of have a understanding. But, saying that to the American people, what is he going to do to improve, job situations? What is he going to do? Like, where do you stand right now? You can't operate from a 2020 mindset in 2024. The country is changing so fast, so quick. You know what I mean? In such a big way, things are happening. Even though the national election, the presidential election is less than a year away, so much can happen in a year. Hell, so much can happen in 30 days. So having a policy agenda, and I think that it's important, and this is the other part about it. This is where I think citizens can come in, where we can put the fire under anyone's ass to say, look, what is your policy agenda? Where do you stand on these things? What's important to you? What do you see? How do you plan to move forward on these things? Besides these little sound bites and jabs and personal insults and all of this other stuff, like we don't care about that. I'm trying to figure out where you stand with this. Lori Parks, you said, I know Joe Manchin wasn't going up for reelection again because he wasn't going to get reelected. Yeah, there's that point, that part, as they say. So he may not get reelected, but again, he always has a way to put the Democrats on notice that he's going to make the party feel like, you know what, I'm gonna do my own thing. And as a result of that, it creates this reverberating effect throughout the rest of the party. So him not seeking reelection is going to, I think it's going to change some things that the Democratic Party has made them trying not to address, but now they're being forced to address it. Corinna, you said this, and we're going to take a quick pause. You said Manchin not running for reelection is a good thing, and Sinema is up for reelection. Perfect opportunity for a hostile takeover of the Senate. Charles Booker and Gary Chambers should run again, and Val Demings. Yeah. Yeah, there he is. Joe Manchin right there. So we will see how this will play out. this person, I mean, this news was bigger. I think it's bigger than what happened in the debate last night. But it just goes to show you the Democrat Party now has to deal with something. The Republican Party is going to have to deal with something. Now the question is what the American people going to do. What are we as the constituents and citizens of this country going to do? We got a lot on our plate. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk furthermore about politics. I'm going to be checking in with Mayor Blakely. Mayor Blakely, he serves as the mayor of the city of Fletcher in North Carolina. He's been around for some time, but he's one of the youngest serving mayors in the country. And we're going to talk to him. When y'all see this young brother, we're going to talk to him, get his take on the state of the affairs, get them his take on Black civic engagement, and so much more. Stay with us. The culture's just getting started right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds. As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shootings. We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture. Before we get to the mayor, we do want to acknowledge first and foremost that November is Native American Heritage Month. So I wanted to have a conversation about what our Native American brothers and sisters are doing in terms of celebrating the contributions and their history and legacy here this month. So we're going to be talking to a brother who is a tribal representative. He's given us some insight as to, and I'm hearing some feedback in my ear, some feedback. But we're going to have this conversation about Native American history as we talk to our brother about what the work of Black people in an indigenous community is doing to continue to bring folks together. So I'm really excited to have with us indigenous activist Michael Paul Hill, who's part of the tribal citizens of the San Carlos Apache tribe in Arizona, to check in with us to talk to us about the importance of Native American Heritage Month. So Brother Michael, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. How are you, dear brother?
I'm doing okay. Thank you very much, Farajii, for inviting me into your show here. Also want to thank Creator for allowing this to happen too. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely, brother. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear us?
Yes, I was having problems with this local phone here, and I had to go to the Mexican phone. It seems to be clearer than United States phones. It's pretty weird. So we're streaming through Mexico right now just to get back to you, and when we could have just been directly to, Phoenix to you. So it's crazy. So anyway, it's a beautiful day today.
We got you. Absolutely. It's a very beautiful day. Brother Michael, let's first start off with the fact that you are a tribal member of the San Carlos Apache tribe. For those of us in the audience who don't understand that there are different Apache tribes, can you tell us about the differences and tell us a little bit about the history of the San Carlos Apache tribe?
Sure. The history has been in depth long. It spans North and South America, let's say. It also goes into the center of the earth where we emerge from, they say. And so in our culture, there's many types of Apaches, but the reality is that the name the Apaches, the enemy that was given to Apaches by the Zuni Indians, one of our local neighbors here. And basically, it comes from the root up, which is a Uso-Tecan word meaning enemy or coyote. So we have been in history here in the United States really hasn't been really told at all. It's been, as we know, usually the war winners are the ones who are able to write the story. But St. Carlos has a history that goes all the way at least back to the Spanish Empire and their dealings, because this place was used to be the territory of New Spain and also Mexico at the time. And we basically were here in the southwest northern Mexico area from Chihuahua down to Sinaloa. Sinaloa, Nuevo Leon, all the way up Durango, the mountains, everywhere Sonora. We were in those areas since they say time immemorial, from the beginning, and so we have split off from that point in time where we're all a member of different clans. My clan is called Be which means made for the yellow people. Be is how we say in our language, and so that's my clan, and that clan has a direct link to, say, for example, a different place, and that place is in Camp Verde, Arizona, in those areas. And so we were switched around all over the place during the time of war, but back into like the 1920s. I believe it was until 1926 or after World War I when the United States really started hunkering down on giving citizenship to the native people. The Apache people, of course, Geronimo, maybe, I don't know if you don't. Geronimo was a medicine man who had he's just a normal man, first and foremost. And he went on a trading one day and came back to his family being slaughtered. And so that triggered the effect of what has transpired in American West, the Old West history, and the fantasy with Apache people, because from that point we have different writers coming in saying that we're fierce, we're marauding, merciless, all of these types of tones that they use to demonize people and groups. But in reality, our peoples were being cut down and slaughtered off just like that, and so that was the reality of that. Even to this day, we're still having to deal with the effects of this genocide that goes on. So, for an activist like myself, for example, I have no work with this tribe, even though they're my tribal people. They don't pay me to do anything. The activism work that I do is done from the heart, and inspired by God, by the Great Spirit, by the Creator. So my work takes me everywhere. It takes me to go see the Pope. It takes me to Nepal. It takes me south to Mexico. It takes me to Canada, wherever we need to go. It usually does that, and the motivation is only just to get the work done, basically. And that encompasses us involving ourselves with our other brothers and sisters all around the world, because we do have these lineages that have interacted with the Apache people.
Right.
For example, we have a lot of the Mexican people down here in the south here. We have people in the Philippines. We have people in Spain that have carried Apache blood in them. Still to this day, they're finding out, and later on, they're coming back to say, "Hey, this is where we're from. This is who we are," and things like this. And for me, I can't deny what has gone on in the history of our people. To be quite honest, there's a lot of history on us. And I didn't even know as much as I know now, being born one, because it's a whole different story,
It's a hidden history. It's a hidden history. It's definitely a hidden history. Right. Hey, Brother Michael, I got to do this. I got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue to talk a little bit about why it's important for us to unveil that hidden history, especially now. And given the fact that you're talking to Black folks all across this country, And some of us may not even know what our lineage is, right? Our lineage
Mm.
is, excuse me. Some of us may not know what our family tree and our connections are to Native American communities. So I want us to continue to talk a little bit about, how you came to, learn more about yourself, learn more about your family, and why it is important to do so. So, folks, stay with us. We continue the conversation on the other side as we talk about November is Native American Heritage Month here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We have been checking in with my brother Michael Paul Hill, who serves as an activist for the indigenous community. As today we are just doing our part to just acknowledge the fact that November is National Native American Heritage Month. And so we did not want to go through the month without acknowledging that we do have brothers and sisters who have a story, they have a history, they have a legacy, and who are part of our lineage, who are a part of our family. I know personally, I do have some Native American within my family bloodline. And so, it's always fascinating for us to become reconnected. And so I want to thank Brother Michael for joining us as he's checking in and serving as the indigenous activist. He's part of the tribal citizen of the San Carlos Apache tribe in Arizona. And Brother Michael, thank you again for your time this afternoon. Let's talk a little bit about this history, because you said something I think is pivotal, which is, when you were growing up, you're a Native American, you're a Black Native American man, but you didn't fully understand your history. What changed for you? Was there a moment in your childhood? What What was that moment, or what was that event that caused you to start looking deeper into your own family history?
Yes. Well, dude, so maybe there was a time period, let's just say, I was about 20, 27 or something like this, and what happened with me, how the event changed, because it was pivotal to me. I completely quit going to school. I stopped going to the university and changed my major and everything like this because, well, it happened right here in this room where I'm at. And one night I started to feel things around me, or I don't know how to say it, but it was like this. And so I started going to the mountains, started reading about Apache people, and I thought, I want to start reading about why I'm like this. Who am I? And I wanted to find out a little bit more about me. So it was taking me into different places here in my own territory, down here to the Cochise Stronghold, down here by Tucson, going down into this area of Arizona, and just connecting to those spots, places where my ancestors were, and then I'd be there and just like standing there in the midst of all this place that history's been rewritten about, and or lies have been consumed and made, and all these things here. And here I come home that night, and this is a really was devastating to me because when I came home that night, there was things supernaturally changing around us, and lo and behold, I came to my bed right where it is right here, and as soon as I started going to sleep, there was a noise like thunder right above me. And all I saw was, because it woke me up so much, that a big old bolt of blue lightning came right into my body. That changed me. At that point in
Wow.
time, I was like, dang, I mean, you know how the most obvious change in the whole world. I was like,
Right.
okay, I guess something will happen now. And so that's what led me to the next, and I went into the history, even to the point to where, James Brown, I feel good, James Brown. But, he's our elder, and the Apache elder too. And so him and his songs even motivated me to look into us as who we are, where we come from, why have Spanish people in us, why is there some heritage of Africa in us, why is this Filipinos, all that I had to take into consideration the whole spectrum, and then it led me to go do some action after that, and the action is unity, bringing the people together from wherever we come from, and also let's remove that veil, like you said, and the shadow and the lies that have been focused on for such a long time. So currently, I work with a friend of mine up in Bay Area with the Service Corps. We're doing things and that involve the heritage of Black people in the West and East Coast, and Washita people, and others that are re-indigenizing themselves, actually, and wanting to find out what's going on, in these pivotal times that we're now experiencing on our beautiful Mother Earth, this beautiful place we have. So this is,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Listen, and I'm glad that you got to that point. We got a couple of moments left, brother Michael. What would you say to Black folks that are watching this show and watching this conversation right now, and they're trying to figure out like who they are? Where do they start?
Well, you know, first and foremost, that's a very good question because um, luckily we've had a group of people already within our culture here, within the Apache people. There's those that are recognized Apaches and those that are unrecognized Apaches in the United States jurisdiction, not Mexico. Mexico is a whole different reality right now, but in the United States, they're either recognized or non-recognized. There's state recognition as well. In regards to finding who you are, first and foremost, we must do research on our own selves. We have to follow, even so, maybe that instinct sometimes. I think we really put that one off to the side because it's not scientific or whatever. But that gut instinct, that feeling that we know, I believe that this is what we should follow mostly because that is the
Hmm.
right path that we use. Um, in regards to actually documentation, well, the churches had all this documentation actually. And unbeknownst to us, when we were finding out who's who's this Indian over here, what clan are they from, the reservations, on the other hand, we all have our own little system of who's true recognized Apache and who's not. But people have been learning of like the lineal descendancy, and I believe my tribe is getting to that point to where they're asking to transform their enrollment procedures into lineal descendancy, meaning kind of like the Cherokee, like even with the Cherokee freedmen, that if you can claim that you are part of Cherokee during the Dawes Act of the 1880s or so, and you're in the role, you can be Cherokee too. So it's kind of like this coming into our reality here. But to me, it doesn't matter if a person has one blood, I mean, obviously you should have culture in you to know who you are.
Right.
A Filipino lady told me about our mountain spirits that we had, and she properly said the name. She called it Dawn, as I know it to be. She told me some stories that no one else would tell me that and she's from the Philippines, that I have never heard that it's true. And it really tripped me out because I thought to myself, wow, this Filipino who was raised in the Philippine Islands, whose grandfather took off from the Navy and ended up marrying her grandmother and stayed there, had told his grandchildren about the stories of down here of our holy people, of the mountain spirit. So it is important for us to listen to our elders. That's where we start.
Oh yeah.
Listen to your elders, your people that go there. They know. Sometimes they just don't want to be bothered by it because
right.
The United States tendency to brainwash us.
Absolutely.
Throw things into our head that are not unworthy. Really,
Right. But I think the point that you're making is absolutely correct, big brother. I think that if we listen to our elders, be curious about who is in our family bloodline, understanding where our people come from. It starts with, understand, this kind of desire to getting to know yourself in a much better place. So I think you're absolutely on point. A couple of folks from our online culture crew, Lynette Pinky. Lynette, you said there are a lot of blacks who have Native American blood, Josephine Baker and Bessie Coleman. Black slaves from the 5 civilized tribes, they have descended to our black and indigenous. You're absolutely right. I think, Lynette Pinky, that we all probably have some Native American blood in us. Because they were the original first people on this part of the earth. And so, we can't deny that. And I think more importantly, like the work that you're doing, Brother Michael, getting people to acknowledge, getting people to celebrate, but it's also getting people to recognize that this is a whole group of people that have been killed off predominantly in a wholesale fashion and has been, quote unquote, kind of erased from American history. And so it's going to take us, not those who were responsible for that, not white America, but black America, to make sure that history of that great people, what happened to that great people, is never forgotten. And so that's how I'm thinking. And that's why we're even having this discussion today. It's because I don't want anybody to ever feel like, they're not going to be seen. We see the Native American community. We understand the great struggle of the Native American people. And most importantly, we are a part of the Native American community. So I think it speaks volumes about where we are. Brother Michael, how can folks get more information about the work that you're doing, get more information about the San Carlos Apache tribe?
No, they can also go online and go to Uncle Google, listen to our uncles too and our aunties. And Google also can direct us there. I used to keep my website up. It would have, and I kind of let everything go for the moment because I was too busy involved in doing work out of the country.
Right.
If you want to go check people out, go to Facebook. Facebook is the way, and then Michael Farajii, if they want to know more about the work that I do. I don't really kind of like put too much out there because it goes heavy duty. It involves nation states and religious people around the world.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Basically, it's like this. I'm not trying to be like mysterious or anything like this. We made well, let's speak about it real quick. It's so the whole 1823 case of Johnson versus McIntosh, which separated us Native peoples from being or indigenous folks, Aboriginal title to occupants, and so when United States in 1823 court case Johnson versus McIntosh um, um, took over our land through this system, which we're now under, reservation systems or treaties. The court decided that we were wards and they were the guardians. And to this day, to this very day, I use that terminology that they use because they want to erase it out of their existence because they have taken the land. So they refer to the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery was created in 1493 by Pope Alexander VI, which allowed kingdoms in Europe to come over here and colonize us basically, and bring slaves from Africa to do the work. So this comes together like this. And so in 2016, we created a body, or 2015, a group of people who addressed this particular issue with the Vatican and went to the Geneva, Switzerland, and made a complaint with the Committee on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. And most recently, we asked that the Pope rescind it, reject it, take it out. And in March of this year, finally in print all around the world and TV everywhere, cable, he did that doing. So now that has happened, I always now say, well, what's the possibility of us getting our land back then? I mean, it's not always going to be returned back, but there's a lot of years of rent that could be back paid that I'm sure, corporations, tribes, everybody else do those things, So things like this is in my mind too, but also the bringing together of the people. But those actions have already been made, and what are the next steps? For remembering, for life.
Right.
People got children to raise and grandchildren too.
Absolutely.
I like as a native, maybe not all natives think like this. I don't know, but I have a big head, so I try to think a lot.
Right. Well, hey, brother Mike, we gotta stop it here. But I truly appreciate your time. I truly thank you for your insight and giving us some understanding about the importance of celebrating this part of our history. Because again, people we don't talk about it. Being like Black History is Native American Heritage History Heritage Month. Native American Heritage Month is Black History Month. I mean, we're so intertwined, we're so locked into one another. And a lot of our culture crew members who are checking in from around the country are saying, yeah, I got Native American blood running through me. Who said it? Let me see something. Cindy D, you said the Indian people are so diverse. Absolutely, absolutely. Brother Damon, you said I have Native Americans on both sides of my family. Absolutely. Cindy, you said my mom said her grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee Indian. It's hard to find documentation to prove that. Absolutely. I understand. Arlene Starks, you said Blackfoot is the foundation of my family. That is both maternal and paternal. Right. Absolutely. So all of these things is a part of our history, and I just happy that we can have some conversation about the importance of it. So, Brother Michael, thank you so much for joining us here on The Culture to share and talk about the importance of celebrating November as Native American Heritage Month.
Thank you. Have a very good day. God bless you all. Creative rest of you guys.
You too, brother. Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk to the mayor. Now we can talk to the mayor of North Carolina, Mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina, Mayor Preston Blakely, to talk to us about the work that he's doing there, how he is holding up as being one of the youngest mayors in the country, and what he thinks is what the landscape should be and how Black America should move forward politically. We'll have that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no!
punch.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. We're going to kick off the second half of the show as we are going to be checking in with the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. We're going to be checking in with Mayor Preston Blakely to talk to us about the work that he's doing down in North Carolina, as he's a young Black mayor down there that's doing some great things, and get his take on where we are politically. Folks, we have been streaming live on our home site at blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you go to our website today. Make sure you download the app on all of your devices. Follow us on social media. And of course, please give something to help us power us in this digital movement. Now, if you want to join us in the conversation with Mayor Preston Blakely, or if any time that you want to join us as part of our online culture crew, just go to Roland Martin's YouTube page. And that's where we're streaming right now, on Roland Martin's YouTube page. Join the chat, and that's where you will find the great online culture crew. All right, so without further ado, I want to welcome now the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. He's also a manager at Quality Janitorial Group, which is a family-owned and operated company started by his parents back in 1990. We want to welcome down to the airways of the culture here on the Black Star Network, Mayor Preston Blakely. Brother Mayor, Mr. Mayor, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you're doing well, sir.
We are doing well, big brother. We are doing well. You are considered to be the state's youngest serving mayor. So you know I got the question I got to first ask you, brother. How old are you?
Yeah, good question. It's an easy answer, but let me answer it in a way that captures the whole context of me being elected. So right now, I'm 29 years old. I just celebrated my birthday last Monday, October 30th.
Oh, happy birthday, Mr. Mayor. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I've been serving in my role as mayor for 2 years. Prior to being mayor, I was on my town council. So when I was first elected, I was 25, and I ran my first campaign at 24. So I'm a young guy, but we need representation from young folk and Black folk.
That is a phenomenal, and I'm sure that people around the country, Black folks around the country, are just blown away by the fact that you are the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. How many folks are in your city, brother?
Yeah, sure. So according to the census, we have about 8,500 residents. About 88 or 89% of those residents are white, 4% are Black, 3% are Asian, and then everything else in between. But it's a growing town, and I'm glad to be there. But it's definitely not a town that, in general, looks like me. So I'm a bit of an anomaly in the place that I'm in.
Wait a minute. So let's go back to this. Wait a minute. What is the demographic breakdown? How many white people are in your town versus Black people?
So out of 8,500 residents, about 88 or 89% are white, and about 4% are Black.
Wow. And talk to us about this process that you have you are embarked upon it, becoming from the council person to becoming mayor. How did that go for you?
Yeah, it was a really smooth transition going from council member to mayor. And I want to back up a little bit about how I even decided to run for council to try to get in this political arena. Because it was a place I had never been into. I had worked for politicians before, interned for politicians, but it was when they were already elected. So I had never been on that campaign role before. Um, but I was interning with the local municipality, and they were making the decision to build a police station, and they were deciding to build this police station in the center of a predominantly black neighborhood. And at the time, I was working on my Master of Public Affairs degree, which is a degree for folk that want to go into the administrative side of government. So be like a city manager, or in layman's terms, like the CEO of Walmart, and then the CEO works for the board. So I was headed to that realm to be a city manager. And there's this dichotomy that exists where you have the policymakers, so the elected officials, and then you have the administrators that implement the policy. And I was talking with the city manager. I'm like, man, I really disagree with that decision to build a police station there for a multitude of reasons that I'm sure your viewers and you can guess. And I asked myself, well, what do you do if you're a city manager and you disagree with a decision that your council is making? And he said, well, we're not here for that. We're here to implement those decisions and make it work. And I'm somebody that wears my heart on my sleeve. So I just couldn't rock with that. It just wasn't sitting well with me. So I graduated and I decided to go work for my family business, which is one of the biggest blessings in my life, truly, because it keeps me on the ground and keeps me proximate with Western North Carolina. But nevertheless, that same year in 2019, when I decided to go work for my family business and do this janitorial work, I still cleaned the buildings, truly. And I got my Master of Public Affairs degree in 2019. That same year, I decided to go run for council. And I had never done it before, but I figured it out along the way. And I talked to people, and I had a lot of community support, a lot of friends supporting me. My family, my number one support system. They were out there knocking on doors with me every single day, talking to residents, the thousands of residents daily. We made phone calls, sent postcards, hosted events, the whole nine. And then 2 years after getting elected in 2019, my mayoral predecessor decided he didn't want to run for re-election. He was actually the first black mayor of Fletcher, so I'm the second black mayor in a row.
Mm.
And he said, Preston, maybe you should run for mayor. And I said, Mayor Whiteside, are you sure? You don't want to do it? Like, we're working good together. But he was done, and he encouraged me to do it. And I decided to make that leap, and I kind of replicated the same campaign moves that I did when I ran for council. And I knocked on those doors every single day, and I sent the postcards, I made the phone calls, the whole nine, the work that I needed to do. And that's not saying it didn't come without heartache, it didn't come without struggle, but we got to where we needed to be, and I was elected mayor in 2021, and now I'm serving
Come
this
on,
term.
man. Come on, brother. Come on. Can we
I
get like
appreciate
him?
it.
That man needs a horn or something, man. Because I mean, that's not easy, brother.
I appreciate
Mr.
it.
Man, brother, that is not easy, man. That's not
I
easy. First
appreciate
and
it.
foremost, big shout out to your family. There we go. There, a
Yeah.
little something, something for you. Big shout out to your family and to your community, to the folks that have supported you all of this time. But it's so impressive to hear you. I mean, you're 29 years old, but you've been doing this for some time, for a few years now. And many folks would say that you are exactly what Black America has been talking about. Um, so I got a couple of questions in regards to race, because of the fact that you are the mayor of a town that is predominantly white. How did that race piece come up, especially in a state like North Carolina? Did you feel like you had to really climb the mountains, or did your predecessor? And big shout out to your predecessor for even kind of blessing you, because that's exactly what we're looking at, right? But did he have to make some moves to kind of lay the groundwork for that? How did that happen? Because I'm sure that was a struggle, or was that not part of the struggle?
No, absolutely. Race is always a factor. You know this as a black man living in America. I know this. Everything that we do is intertwined with race, in my eyes, truly. And Rod Whiteside, the first black mayor of Fletcher, I give him so much credit because he broke that glass ceiling for me. You know, he broke that glass ceiling for me so that I'm able to sit in this chair right now and serve as the mayor of my town. Now, we're talking about race and how it showed up because it has showed up, and I apologize, my dog's barking, but it
It's
has
all
showed
good.
up, right? When I was running for mayor, I'll never forget, they defined when I was watching the news and they saw my name at the bottom and they said I got elected, they defined my election as divisive. And that wasn't a word we had heard before in the town of Fletcher for any election, but this one was defined as divisive. And I think it's accurate. And I'll tell you why I think it's accurate. The day before my election, or 1 or 2 days before my election, my mom and I love my mom to death. She was helping me put out door hangers, just reminding people to vote, just giving one last, explanation about why you should vote for me, why you should vote for Preston Blakely. And I'm going to all these doors I've already been to and talking to all these residents I've already talked to and saying, this is your polling place, it's the time you can vote, and this is where you need to vote, and this is why you should vote for me. And as I was going now, my mom called me and she said, I think they're putting out flyers about you. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, I haven't seen anything yet. And my mom wears glasses, but she didn't have her glasses, so she couldn't read it, but she could kind of see that at least they had my name on there. And I said, okay, well, I haven't come across it yet. And lo and behold, inevitably, I did come across this flyer. And I began to read the flyer, and the flyer was full of dog whistles. As a matter of fact, I would say they weren't even dog whistles. They brought out the whole bullhorn. And I read that flyer, and I was hurt. I was, because I'm from here, and it felt like my neighbors, my community was attacking me. And I struggled with what to do when I saw that flyer. And I read it over and over and over again. And I called some of my trusted people in my circle and my family members. And I was like, well, what do I do? Like, do I ignore this? Or, do I come out and say something about it? Or, what do I do? And I was mulling over that for a little bit, but I kept working. And the more I kept going in all these neighborhoods, the more I saw this flyer still. It was everywhere throughout my town. So with it being so widespread, I had to say something. I had to combat it. So I ended up getting on my social media platforms and, saying, this thing isn't true. It's full of dog whistles. It's not the 1950s, right? It's 2023. We shouldn't see that. And it got picked up by a lot of media. And the next day, I'm out at the polls, greeting voters. My father was at one poll, greeting voters for me, which I'm super appreciative of. And I was at the other. And people all day long came with that flyer. And the most encouraging thing was that more people condemned the flyer than taunted it in my face. But the fact that people taunted it in my face just says where we're at in 2023 and how far we have to go in my community, in North Carolina, in our nation, in our world. But nevertheless, I was encouraged that I prevailed. I got 55% of the vote when I ran for mayor. We prevailed, but that was a hurtful situation, and a race did come up, and it continues to this day.
Mr. Mayor, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation with you. I want to pick your brain a little bit, brother, because people are so inspired to hear your story today. The culture crew is just on fire to see a young black man in the role and position that you're in, not just because you're mayor, but because you have a political insight. And more importantly, you're not just talking about it. You're being about it. You're doing it. So, we thank God for you, brother. So, look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation with Mr. Mayor Preston Blakely, the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. Folks, stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Dee Barnes, and next on The Frequency, we have griot, performance artist and author, writer, singer, and composer, Queen Mother Nana Camille Yarborough. Please join us for an incredible conversation with knowledge, wisdom, and power of the elders.
I'm a perception changer. You're a rearranger. You're a mind evolver and a problem solver. You're a beast eater, a soul excreter, a void filler, and a bile spiller. You are a thought warmer, a plan former, a power orchestrator, and a tongue translator.
Right here on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Been talking to Mr. Mayor Preston Blakely, who is the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. This is young brother here is doing it real big, and what a great time to have a conversation with the young brother, the brother who is inspiring so many folks. If you haven't had a chance to go down to Fletcher, North Carolina, you might just have a reason to do it, because now you can see our brother, and he's the mayor. And, we are so proud and happy to have him joining us here on the show today. Mr. Mayor, people are just telling you to stay encouraged, but I could just tell that flyer before the day before folks went to the polls to vote for you, it did something to you. What was the biggest thing that it did to you? Did it open your eyes about race relations? Did it open your eyes about how mean-spirited, being a political leader can be? What's one of the things that you learned from that experience, brother?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. I want to talk about my grandmother for a second, because
Sure.
she's one of the people that helped me through that, and have certainly helped me get to the place that I'm in today. And I mentioned this earlier, this word. I get it from Brian Stevenson, and he always uses this phrase, to stay proximate, to stay on the ground, to stay close to the issues. And I think my grandmothers are the best examples of that. One of my grandmothers is no longer living, Patricia Blakely, but she, like me, did street level work. I'm a janitor. My grandmother drove a city bus, and she's somebody that lived through the civil rights era, right? But she drove that city bus, and I can't tell you how inspirational I think that is, because she lived through a time where she was relegated to the back of the bus, but she was driving the bus both literally and figuratively, truly. And my other grandmother, she has done incredible work in civil rights and continues to do so to this day. She even broke the color barrier at a university in Western North Carolina.
Mm.
And they always reminded me, whether they say it or said it, to stay proximate. So when that happened, it was a blunt reminder to me to stay on the ground, to make sure we're having these kitchen table conversations, to make sure that I'm emotionally intelligent when I get to the table with people. When I say emotionally intelligent, that I understand the struggles that people go through just to live in our society, right? So people are pushing back on me because of my race, right? But the fact of the matter is, I was still there for those people. And I say, well, know what? If they want to treat me like that, fine. But I'm still going to represent every single 8,500 person resident in my community. And by these kitchen table conversations and by staying proximate, hopefully I keep my own feet to the fire, and we continue to push forward in our community and in our nation and our state. But we cannot stagnate. We can't stagnate. There's always progress that has to be made. And Brian Stevenson, I always hold that phrase, to stay proximate. So that was the most, that was what reminded me the most, or empowered me the most, or kept me grounded when that happened, is to stay proximate. And that's how I move forward.
Talk to me about, and talk to us, Mr. Mayor, about your work as a janitor, because that's fascinating to me. That you see service differently than what many people may expect, especially from a political leader. You still work for your parents' company. You are literally a janitor, but you also the mayor of the town that you clean. So that has a lot of
Yeah.
hey, brother,
So
I'm just trying to make the connection that the
yeah,
service runs through your blood, and so does humility, because you could have taken on a different path to stay proximate, as you say, right? You could have just said, you know what, let me work in downtown. Let me get a more quote unquote professional job or something like I can do. I'm the mayor. I don't need to. But you're like, no, I'm staying close to the family. I'm gonna still do the work, but yet I'm gonna still serve the people as their leading advocate. Talk to me about the thinking behind you being in those roles, brother.
yeah. And thank you for bringing that up because that's something I hold close to me actually. Um, my parents started this business in 1990, and they started it cleaning libraries in Buncombe County, which is just north of me, and Buncombe cleaning libraries of Buncombe County with Windex and newspaper, and that's old school now.
That's old
Windex,
school.
yeah,
That's old
Windex
school.
and newspaper. So we're talking about starting from the ground up. I'm talking about my entire life. I'm going to clean buildings with my family uh, every night when I get out of school. And at the time, I really didn't appreciate it. I was frustrated. I'm like, why do I have to go clean these buildings with y'all when, my friends are out there having fun doing whatever they want to do? But it instilled in me a lot. I got to realize from a pretty young age how hard people have to work to make that living, right?
Mm.
And I have this master's degree, so I can go out here and I can get XYZ job in the professional world, but that's not what I want. I want to work with my family. I want to work with my hands, and I don't mind cleaning these buildings. It keeps me proximate, and I interact with so many different people by doing that, and I get to learn what they have to do just to make that living. And I think
Mm.
that connection when it comes into the political realm is so key because when we look at the elected leaders that we have right now, they're not janitors, right? They're not working at fast food, right? They're
Right,
not
far
working at
from.
the right. They're not working at these street level jobs, and they lack this emotional intelligence because they don't understand what people are having to do. So they're not able to sit down and connect with people on this level that I think that I'm able to do because I do that work and I have my entire life. And I think it's so unfortunate that we don't have working class people in these elected positions because we're making
Mm.
all these decisions, and the majority of the decisions that we are making are for working class people, right? So when I'm able to go there and I'm able to be emotionally intelligent, I'm able to connect with these people. I'm able to take my job that I do, clean these buildings, my education, and what I've learned in being an elected official and connect it all together. And hopefully, I hope I make the best decisions for all my constituents and all my residents here in my town.
I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute because I think that speaks volumes about the heart that you got.
Thank you.
And it's refreshing to say the least to see a brother like yourself keeping himself in that position. What do you see happening politically? Because by you being a young black man, you are exactly the voter that parties are looking for, whether you're talking about the Republican Party or whether you're talking about the Democratic Party. You are right there, smack dab in the middle of that age group where civic engagement and political activism and all of those things intersect with one another. What do you see on a national level, brother Mayor? Do you see that young black folks like yourself are becoming more politically engaged and more civically engaged, or are you seeing that young people are now turning away from politics and looking for alternative ways to try to get their voices heard and try to get their interests and values met?
I really think it's both in a way. I'm a young person, so I still interact with young people. My friends are young people in their mid to late 20s or early 30s, and these folk are politically engaged and they want to be activists and they want to be involved. I think it's the system that we're in that prevents them from being involved. For example, to be a state level state senator or a state representative in North Carolina, you earn $14,000 a year. How can they be involved in that system? How can anybody be involved in that system? Right? We're not going to get those working class people. We're not going to get those young folk. We're not going to get potentially those black folk or anybody for that matter, because you can't make a living doing a full-time job for $14,000 a year when you're driving from all the way West North Carolina, where I am, to Raleigh, our state capital, 3 or 4 hours away. That's not possible, right? But nevertheless, I think young folk should be more involved in local politics, truly, because this is the work that's street level. This is the work that impacts you on a day-to-day basis. You know, these are our police departments, right? And that's a huge thing. These are our roads. These are our schools, our parks, things that we interact with every day. So I see these young people and they're talking to me, right? They're talking to me about these issues, but I'm not sure they're talking to the other people that they may not be able to connect with as well. Right? I use Instagram. I use social media, and they're connected with me through social media, but these other folks, it's just not really happening. And I see them using social media as a vehicle to push forward the issues that they care about. And the issues that they care about are often political. But more than anything, we need to have an accessible, right? An accessible and equitable political system that's welcoming of people, so they can have somebody they can actually believe in and be inspired by. And I'll make this one last point, because that inspiration part is important, I think. I always show up for the young folk. I always go talk to schools, whether it's elementary or college classes, because you typically don't see somebody that looks like me in this position. But I want these people to be able to imagine themselves in my position, because I do not want to be the last, and I will not be the last. And I'm currently reading Barack Obama's memoir, and he talks about when he was making that decision of running for president, and he referenced his ability to inspire. And whether you like Barack Obama or not, whether you agree with his policies, I think he's right. He did have that ability to inspire. We're talking about a black man that went to the highest office in the land. And in his memoir, he referenced this picture that I think we've all seen of this young black kid in the Oval Office. And Barack Obama bends down and the kid rubs his hair. And he's like, your hair is like my hair. That's inspiration. So we need to be our leaders that can inspire. And we need to have a political system that is accessible. And we need leaders that are emotionally intelligent that will listen to these young folks so they will be engaged. That's what we need in my eyes, not only in my community, but in this entire nation.
I got to take another quick pause. Mr. Mayor, we got a few moments. Can we steal a few moments left? Because I just want to ask some final questions from you.
Sure.
Is that okay, sir?
Absolutely.
I don't want to impose on your time, but I'm just enjoying the conversation so much.
Thank you. No, I'm here for you. I'm here for your viewers. I'm here for this community.
Hey, brother, I'm enjoying this so much. Look, folks, post your questions, your thoughts in the chat as we are talking to Mayor Preston Blakely, the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. I would love to hear what you got to say as we share. And this brother shares so much knowledge and wisdom and talk about his experience as being the mayor of Fletcher, and more importantly, him being a public servant. I don't think we can use this term lightly, because this is exactly what this brother is. He is a public servant, and that he needs to be supported, he needs to be uplifted, and more importantly, he needs to be protected all the way up to the top. Public servant. Folks, stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to the show. I have been chatting with Mayor Preston Blakely, who serves as the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. This 29-year-old brother is doing big things in Fletcher. He is breaking through all of the norms and the glass ceilings and just showing the rest of the country that, guess what? Things are possible. And not only are you knowledgeable, Brother Mayor, but you're also very inspirational. And I think that I know we keep going back to that point, but I don't want that to be lost in the conversation, because I truly believe that a leader can have all of the technical knowledge, the leader can have all of the insight on certain things. But guess what? We're human beings. We as people, as human beings, and especially Black folks in this country, we love to be inspired. And going back to what you said about former President Barack Obama, I think that was a huge part of him getting into the office in 2008 and then coming back in 2012, his ability to inspire. Matter of fact, it's so funny. I was just reading his words last night, to be honest with you, because he, for the 15th anniversary, the 15-year anniversary they did in Chicago 15 years ago, this past Saturday, he was elected to office as the first Black president. But I was just reading some of his words that he was talking about democracy, the state of democracy, talking about the importance of having an inclusive democracy. And so I want to kind of get your take on the future of democracy in this country, because we're going through some major, major shifts. The former president highlighted the fact that you have all of these challenges, but now it takes an active citizenry at this point to help keep America going forward. Do you agree with that? Do you feel like that now people are at a point that they want to get involved, to the point that they understand that, look, democracy cannot happen without the people being present? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with President Obama. We have to be present. We have to show up. It is, I'll use the word critical. It is critical, it is needed, and it is urgent. It is urgent. North Carolina is a great example of this. A couple of years ago, North Carolina decided to have voter ID, for example. And they did this, at least in my opinion, to prevent people from going to the polls, to make it harder to go vote, to make it harder to have your voice seen. And North Carolina remains in the news as they've gerrymandered our state time in and time out. And I think a judge at one point said they gerrymandered it with surgical precision. With surgical precision. They're keeping people out. They're pushing people out. And that's not okay. You need to represent everybody, right? The voters choose you. We don't choose the voters. That's not how that should happen. And one phrase that somebody said to me that's always stuck with me, they told me, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. And I believe that. We have to participate. We have to go out there and vote. We have to have our voices heard. You have to show up to that school board meeting, right? You have to show up to that city council meeting. You have to show up to that county commissioners meeting. You have to email your congressperson, your senator, even the president. You have to reach out to these people. And you have to be active, however that best fits you. Because if you're not, our lives are quite literally at stake. Our democracy is at stake. So we need people showing up and we need people participating, truly.
Let me go to get some comments from our online culture crew because folks are checking in from around the country and they're very excited. My sister Lana said, Farajii, you should bring on more black mayors, young black mayors, dope strategic angle within the Democratic Party. That's from Lana. Lana has been blowing up the chat and showing you love, Mr. Mayor, and very excited to see you. Quilla Mission, I hope I'm saying that right, brother. You said, gotta love seeing real leadership amongst black men in the blue collar space, bus drivers and janitors leading the way. Who would have thought, right? At first, when we hear about President Obama, he said he was a community activist. I remember, Mr. Mayor, that folks are like, a community activist? But then I knew when he revealed that he did work in the grassroots space, I'm a community activist as well. I've done social justice work for 25 years. And so I knew, I said, yeah, he's the perfect person to be in political office, just like yourself. You are in a position, you're not just cleaning your building. I know that. God got something much greater for you to do, but he's using that as a way for you to get closer to the people, right? And so there's something there in that process of service. Because I used to do janitorial work myself, and people are like, you used to be a janitor?
It's hard
It's a
work.
humbling, it's hard work and it's humbling, right? But guess what? Just something that you shared, it is the opportunity to learn people on a human level.
Yep.
If you can clean behind someone, come on, man. Don't get me. You want to have me taken to go to church, Mr. Man. I can't deal with you right there. Let me see this. Carolyn Harrison said, congratulations to Mayor Blakely. I'm very impressed. We need a lot of people with your courage to step up to the plate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pastor Damon Blissett said, stay encouraged, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cindy D said he cleaned up in his town in more ways than one.
Hey, I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna put that one in my back pocket. I like that.
Cindy D, thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, we got a few moments left with you. And again, we appreciate your time to be with us. And, you are always welcome to come back on the Culture on the Black Star Network, man. This is your home. If there's no other media space that you want to go to get a message out, to get a word out, or just simply reconnect with the folks across the country, please think of us here on the Culture on the Black Star Network. But I'm wondering, you are in a very protected space. Even though you have experienced some things even in your hometown, you're still in a protected space. Are you thinking about moving from that layer of protection to go into, either statewide leadership or even national leadership?
You never say never. I will say I want to run for re-election, at least one more time for mayor. And I really appreciate the local level of government because I can see the impacts happening on a day-to-day basis. Whereas you look at Congress and they didn't even have a Speaker of the House for weeks. They couldn't get anything done. You look at North Carolina, some years we go without a budget, and that's unfortunate. And I appreciate the things I'm able to accomplish at the local level. I want to continue to accomplish those things, but I don't rule out state level or anything else. So we'll see what the future holds.
You'll see what the future. I like that. That was a political answer, though. You probably got something cooking, don't you, Mr. Man? You got something cooking.
I'm focused on Tyler Fletcher.
There you go. There you go. That's my guy. I appreciate that. Absolutely, absolutely. We got a few moments left. Mr. Man, what would you like to say to the people? Especially in this time where it seems like hope does seem to be kind of fading a lot of our people are struggling. We understand that there's a lot of things that we could be excited about, but then there are a lot of things that are bringing great anxiety. What do you tell your people, your constituents in Fletcher, North Carolina, and what would you like to tell the rest of Black America about what you're seeing, and more importantly, the vision that you have about the state of our people?
Yeah, you said a word there, hope. You said it may be fading, and that's not what I want to hear. The one thing I want to hear, and the one thing I want to express is that I hope more than anything is that you all hold on to hope, because I'm holding on to hope. And I know sometimes it's hard to get out of bed to go clean those buildings. I know sometimes it's hard to go work that job. I know it's hard to code switch, but hold on to that hope, right? We can do this. We can do this collectively. Collectively, our community, the people on the ground are strong. So let's hold on to this hope and let's show up. That's half the battle. Hold on to that hope and just showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything that that folks outside of Fletcher can do to support you in the work that you and your administration is doing at this time?
The one thing I'll ask people to do, and I'll go back to showing up, is to go to your local council meeting, go to your commissioners meeting, go to your school board meetings. They're making decisions about you, and this local level of government is the most tangible level of government. We're always so hyper-focused on the state and the federal level. But the decisions right here that are happening at the local level at your school board are impacting your kids, right? The decisions that are happening in the city councils are impacting your livelihood, your pockets, your own backyard. So get involved, show up, have that discourse, participate, and don't be on the menu. Have that seat at the table. It is critical.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Don't be on the menu. Don't be on the menu. We ain't being on the menu. Not this 2023, Mr. Man. We ain't being on the menu no more. We
That's
are not
right.
being on the menu anymore. Big brother, I want to say thank you. I want to thank you for your time today, but more importantly, I want to thank you for your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Because it is, like I said before, it's refreshing, and it speaks volumes about where we are. And I'm just like just lit. I'm lit up right now. Just lit up, man. I can't really express the excitement, but I really believe that God has put his hands on you, and that, for you to do some great things. And the people of Fletcher should be very, very proud to have you as their mayor. You are an upstanding brother, as far as I can see, based on what I'm hearing from you. You have shown some great wisdom and knowledge, and I just want to say thank you, brother, for being so good for the culture. Thank you for being a light, and more importantly, thank you for embodying hope for our people that need hope today. So thank you, and thank you once again. Give her your love and our peace and blessings to your family, because they've done a fantastic job in keeping you on the right track. And I know it's not easy. I know it's going to be a lot of pressure, brother, but trust and believe you were made for this. You were made for this. You were made for this. So thank you, brother. I truly
Thank y'all.
appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our brother, Mayor Preston Blakely, the mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for joining us here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation. Stay with us. It's The Culture right here on Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Man, oh man, welcome back to the culture, man. Oh man. You know, there's some conversations that you really just like really touches you. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, crew. That was one of those conversations. That was one of those conversations. I see so much light in our brother. So big shout out again to Mayor Preston Blakely, man, and his family. And man, that was solid. That brother's solid, man. I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the great work he's doing, especially if you're down in the North Carolina area, folks. If you're down in the area, show some love, show some support to Mayor Preston Blakely, because we definitely want to, keep empowering him and cultivating him. So big shout out to him and to his family for doing that great, great work. Now, we got a final few moments of the show. If you did not see a stream that we had live streamed earlier today, I wanted to just play a quick clip of a press conference that Representative Cori Bush had hosted around veterans calling for a ceasefire in the Gaza, in West Bank and Gaza Strip, in that Israel-Hamas conflict. And it is so enlightening. I posted it on my social media. I think when you hear directly from veterans, and this is something I just wanted to play for a quick moment, hearing directly from veterans the impact of war and all that it encompasses, that it brings a different perspective to the conversation about what should be going on, what should not be going on. If you have not been keeping up on the news or about what's going on between Israel and Palestine, since October the 7th, a little bit over 30 days ago, there have been thousands of lives taken as a result of that Hamas attack in Israel. There was 1,400 lives that were taken, Israeli lives, they say mostly children, on that day. But then as a result of that Hamas attack, over 11,000 Palestinians have lost their lives. 4,300 of those 11,000 have been already children. This is some footage from AP Associated Press of just from this morning. The rubble, you can see the devastation. And so veterans and activists and political leaders are calling for a ceasefire. As of right now, there's even a 4-hour humanitarian pause that literally, folks, that during the course of the bombing, they have agreed on stopping for 4 hours only to start it up again. Psychological terror. The torture, the thinking that 4 hours is going to change how someone feels about their lives being taken or their life being taken, mind blowing. So let me just play a few minutes here of what Representative Cori Bush and some of our veterans had to say in calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Take a look.
The lives lost, the families shattered, and the community scarred. They know the devastation and the pain that we are seeing now in Gaza and in Israel. They themselves can often relate to those around the world who are subjected to this violence, even here in America. Some may question our patriotism because we are questioning endless war, but there is nothing more patriotic than wanting our country to stand up for our professed values. In the words of Reverend Dr. Pauli Murray, I want to see America be what she says she is, and I consider it part of my responsibility to do that. We have all heard the phrase that history repeats itself, yet too often as a society we fail to recognize the repetition of war. The veterans that we will hear from today are here not only because they know the impacts of war, but they know that without action and without a true anti-war movement, war will continue generation after generation. It's time to change the pattern of history, to build a world where peace is valued over war, where we reconcile conflicts through peaceful negotiation, where we choose to take the path of love and humanity over death and destruction, regardless of how hard that choice may be. I thank the veterans here today for many things: standing up, speaking out, the risk that they're taking. But I specifically want to thank them for making that choice, for choosing peace, for choosing love, for choosing humanity, for choosing to demand a ceasefire now. Thank you all. And now I'm going to call up Lyle Jeremy Rubin, former Marine officer.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thanks, everyone, Brittany, everyone else who helped organize this event. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Since childhood, I've heard these words from one Passover Seder to the next, bellowed by the legendary singer and actor Paul Robeson. My great uncle and aunt have hosted the Seder for decades, and they have always gone out of their way to connect our people's story of oppression and liberation to that of others. When Robeson performed the famous slave song in 1965, he was drawing a line from the Jewish freedom struggle to the Black freedom struggle. But it wasn't until I joined the Marines not long after 9/11 and helped enforce the military occupation of Afghanistan in 2010 that I came to realize the wider importance of that spiritual and how much I had failed to learn its deepest lesson. When I developed lethal targeting packages for strangers on a safe intelligence watch floor, I knew I wasn't playing the part of Moses. When I accompanied my Marines on armed foot patrols, where we menacingly paced through the fields of frightened farmers, I knew I wasn't on the side of liberation. And the more I participated in the violent policing of desert hamlets, the more I felt like another Pharaoh. Today I stand here with every fiber in my being to insist that the ongoing bloodshed in Gaza and the West Bank will not bring anyone emancipation. Certainly not the Palestinians, who have already endured more death and destruction in the past month than most war-torn people suffer after year-long operations. But not the Israelis either, who are only fueling the flames of resentment and rage that brought both Israel and Palestine to this awful crossroads in the first place. After 20 years of fighting our own war on terror, and after hundreds of thousands dead, have we still not learned it's impossible to kill one's way to safety, to freedom? Too many lives have already been lost, too many people subjugated and humiliated, not just the past month, but for years and decades, from Gaza City to Hebron to East Jerusalem. Ceasefire now.
Here, folks, as you can hear, that is just one of many of the veterans that spoke earlier this morning to show their solidarity for the Palestinian people and to be a part of the chorus of to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. And the question again was posed to Representative Bush at the end of the presentation of all of the veterans. You know, what does this group, these veterans have to say about the 4-hour humanitarian pause? And as I was watching this and I was reading about this pause, it made me think about just the simple fact that we are losing our humanity each and every day, where as much as we may disagree with one another, the lengths that we would go, that folks will go to make a point. And at some point, it has to end. And more importantly, at some point, things have to change. That we are putting more ourselves in a darker and darker space. especially our veterans. As much as we talk about going to war, as much as some folks talk about taking it there, those men, those women who come from all different backgrounds from this country to go serve in our military and only to come back, as one of the veterans said this morning, she suffers from depression and anxiety. And others have said that the images of seeing dead bodies has never left their time of being in the military. Something has to end. Things have to change. And so when we keep asking that question, well, why should we be concerned? This is not our fight. This is not our war. I beg to differ. This is an injustice. This is an injustice that is enveloping not just the Middle East. This is an injustice that is pulling in one of the top supporters of Israel, the United States of America. And if we don't speak out, then that is saying to the Biden-Harris administration that it is all right to support Israel's nonstop bombardment, nonstop ground invasion, nonstop warfare on innocent lives in the Gaza Strip. We can't stay silent now. And if you can't understand that this injustice over there affects justice here, then I don't know what to tell you. But I stand with these veterans. We stand with those who are who are calling for a ceasefire. And we want to have a better way to address this issue. We're going to continue to talk about this, but I think that it would behoove everyone to take a look at this press conference just to hear what veterans have to say as we talking about this war. And more importantly, as we talk about what is going to be the future of not just diplomacy, not just the future of the people of Palestine or Israel, but what is the future of humanity. If this is the way that we're going, then we might find ourselves going down a path that we can't return from. So again, check that out. It is streaming live on Black Star Network. And we thank Representative Cori Bush and all of the veterans who stood today to make their presence known, to say enough has to be enough. We must stop the firing. We must stop the warfare. We must bring an end to this conflict. Folks, make sure y'all do your due diligence. Continue to support us here at Black Star Network. You see the type of conversations that we have. You see the type of content that we're putting out to the world, and we need your support. And we want to thank those who have already given. Christopher Brooks, you gave yesterday. We didn't get a chance to thank you, so I'm thanking you now. Thank you, Christopher. Sir James Brown, thank you for tuning in and for giving today. I cannot thank you enough for your support. Oh man, can't thank you enough. My crew, Culture Crew, y'all know how much I love and appreciate you. I'm going to have some of you to come on the show to talk about more of these topics and issues that are near and dear to your heart. So I can't thank you enough for your ongoing support of the work that we are doing. I want to thank our very special guest, Mayor Preston Blakely, for coming on. I want to thank Michael Paul Hill, the indigenous activist, for being with us today. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Even if you wasn't in the chat, but you just tuning in on all of the different platforms that we are on, thank you so, so much. I also want to thank our production team, Joel, Shannon, Maddie, Chris, Lisa, and my man King Keenan for making this production happen. And make sure y'all tune and stay tuned at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Roland Martin Unfiltered is coming at you. But remember this, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Have a safe and prosperous evening, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon. Have a good one. Peace.